The silence that followed was suffocating, thick with the unseen weight of the entity's fury. Emily clung to me, her breath coming in uneven gasps. My mind reeled from what had just happened. Victor's transformation, the guests moving like puppets, the ancient words that had sent the entire ballroom into chaos. But there was no time to process it. We had to move. The hallway we had stumbled into was lined with towering candelabras, their flames flickering unnaturally as if disturbed by an invisible force. The walls bore massive portraits of past Blackwood brides, their eyes eerily following us as we rushed forward. I could hear something behind us, a whispering, an unnatural rustling, as if the house itself had come alive to stop our escape. "Where do we go?" Emily whispered, her fingers tightening around mine. I glanced around frantically, trying to recall the layout of the manor. The west wing led to the old servants' quarters. That might give us a way out. "This way," I urged, pulling her through an arched doorway that led to a spiral staircase. The wooden steps creaked under our weight, and with every movement, the whispers grew louder. I didn't dare look back. We reached the top of the staircase, emerging into a dimly lit corridor. Unlike the grand ballroom, this part of the house bore signs of abandonment. Dust-covered furniture, cobwebbed chandeliers, and cracked wallpaper that peeled away to reveal something dark beneath. The air smelled of damp decay, the scent wrapping around us like a warning. Emily shuddered. Something's wrong here. She was right. The shadows felt thicker, the dim light failing to reach certain corners. As we stepped forward, the temperature plummeted. A shiver ran through me, not just from the cold, but from the overwhelming sense of being watched. Then I heard it, a soft, rhythmic tapping. Slow, deliberate. Footsteps. They echoed from the corridor behind us, drawing closer. I turned, my pulse hammering in my ears. A figure stood at the end of the hall, cloaked in darkness, its features obscured. But I knew who it was. Victor. Only. It wasn't him anymore. His form was twisted, elongated, his limbs slightly too long, his fingers curling like talons. His head tilted unnaturally to the side, and when he spoke, his voice was layered, as if multiple beings were speaking at once. "You cannot run from fate." Emily let out a strangled gasp, stumbling back. I moved in front of her instinctively, my heart pounding. "Stay away from her," I said, though my voice wavered. Victor took a slow step forward. The shadows at his feet stretched toward us, writhing like living tendrils. "You do not understand, do you?" His grin widened, revealing teeth that were far too sharp. "She belongs to me." Emily whimpered, gripping my arm. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. I don't." Victor's laughter echoed down the corridor, a chilling sound that sent shivers through my spine. "But you do. The moment you stepped into Blackwood Manor, you became part of the ritual. The ceremony was never about love, Emily. It was about binding. And you have already said yes." My blood ran cold. No, that couldn't be true. But as I looked at Emily, I saw the horror dawning in her eyes. She had accepted the engagement. She had willingly walked into this house. Had that been enough? Had the ritual begun before she even realized? I refused to accept it. I grabbed her hand and pulled her forward. "We're leaving." Victor let out a sharp guttural sound and the shadows lunged. The walls groaned, shifting around us as if the house itself was trying to trap us inside. I yanked Emily forward, sprinting down the corridor, dodging the dark tendrils that reached out, clawing at our ankles. We burst through the next door, slamming it shut behind us. The room was pitch black, the air thick with dust and something else. Something putrid. I fumbled for my phone, turning on the flashlight. The beam illuminated the space. And I froze. The walls were covered in wedding dresses, dozens, no, hundreds of them, hanging like specters in the darkness. Each one was unique, yet all bore the same unmistakable stains. Dark, dried blood that soaked the lace and silk. Beneath them, rows of mirrors reflected our pale, terrified faces. but something was wrong with the reflections. They didn't move as we did. Emily let out a small sob. "What? What is this?" A whisper came from one of the mirrors. Soft, pleading. "Help us." My stomach lurched. The figures in the mirrors, women in the same wedding gowns, were staring at us, their eyes filled with agony. Some had skeletal hands pressed against the glass, their mouths moving soundlessly. Others simply stood, hollow and empty, as if the life had long since drained from them. Emily reached for the nearest mirror, her fingers trembling. The moment her skin touched the glass, the room shook violently. A deafening wail erupted from the mirrors, the trapped souls screaming in torment. The dresses trembled, as if something within them was stirring. And then, the glass began to crack. We had to get out. Now! I grabbed Emily's hand and yanked her away just as the first mirror shattered, releasing a wave of cold air that slammed into us like a physical force. The spirits wailed louder, their skeletal hands reaching out through the jagged glass, desperate to grab hold of anything living. We ran. Bursting through another doorway, we found ourselves back in the main hallway. The walls groaned, shifting, changing, twisting the layout of the manor like a living maze. Victor's laughter echoed all around us, closer now. "You cannot escape." I ignored him, my only focus on getting Emily to safety. Up ahead, I saw it. An old wooden door, slightly ajar, leading to what I hoped was the manor's rear exit. But just as we reached it, Emily stopped abruptly. She was staring at something just beyond the threshold, a wedding altar, and standing at it was Emily. Another version of her, dressed in the same wedding gown from the portraits. Her face was pale, lifeless, her lips moving in silent vows. And beside her stood Victor, his grin widening as he slowly turned to look at us. The realization struck me like a thunderbolt. We weren't running from the wedding. We were running toward it. The ceremony had already begun.